Hey guys, Uncommon Ramen here. Today we're going to take a look at a game called New Lexio. It was a Kickstarter that I just received. But before I do that, let me remind you, if you like my videos, please hit that like and subscribe button. And if you want to see my content as it releases, hit the bell icon and you'll see as I upload. Also, if you feel the need to support me, hit me up on my Patreon at patreon.com/uncommonramen. I do all of this in my free time, so any amount of support can help me bring more of this content to you more often. Now, without further ado, New Lexio. This is not something that I would typically back for a couple of reasons. You can probably pick up an old copy of Lexio. Um, I would say relatively easily. Not to mention, the company that made this is not really a big name out here in the US, so I wasn't even sure if I was going to receive this Kickstarter. When I was looking through Kickstarter and ended up discovering this, one of the things that they touted themselves as is a game that is a mixture of mahjong and poker with special cards, and that kind of piqued my interest because I love mahjong. I think mahjong is great, and I'm talking about the actual multiplayer mahjong and not that computer game on Microsoft that you can pick tiles off of a pyramid, blah blah blah. I'm actually talking about real mahjong. So when I saw this, I thought, okay, well, I'll give it a shot. And despite the fact that it actually is nothing like Mahjong in any way, shape, or form, the only thing that really makes it similar to Mahjong is the tiles themselves, which are very large tiles that are similar to that of Mahjong. Aside from that, there is literally nothing that compares it to Mahjong. It actually plays more closely to a mixture between games like poker and a old Asian game that originated in China called Tichu that got brought out here, and a lot of Asian cultures like the Vietnamese and Chinese play it, called 13. So it plays more akin to that than it would ever play to Mahjong. But that is neither here nor there. I wanted to kind of show off this game because I think the component quality, as far as the tiles are concerned, is really great. So let's take a look at what we got here. First off, I wanted to show you this box because this art is something else. Typically, when you get box art, it gives you kind of some sort of indication of theme or maybe possible gameplay elements, and this kind of just gives you the idea that, well, I don't even know if you go to a Western tavern, because it has the little Western flap doors as opposed to an actual door, then you might catch people playing Lexio. I don't know. So anyway, let's take a look inside of here. I thought it was unique art, but I've never seen anything quite like that on a board game, unless it was made by like Milton Bradley. Okay, so first off, we're gonna get this little box here. It's Lexio, and then this is Korean for literally the same thing. And yeah, it's just a typical bag. This is what you're going to put your tiles in to shuffle them up, which, again, isn't really reminiscent of Mahjong, because in Mahjong, we just take our tiles and we turn them face down and we throw them on the table, and then we just, shuffle them around like that. So, weird things like that. Anyway, here is the rule book, and we can jump into this real quickly. And it's a manual, not a rule book. It's pretty colorful, and honestly, this game is actually super easy to learn, and they give a lot of really good visual aids in here that make it very engaging. The black background with the colorful text makes it pop really easily, so it's really easy to read this without getting bored, essentially. And this right here can get a little confusing when it comes to point counting, but Once you get the gist of it, actually the point counting is actually relatively simple. And then it goes into, things that have to do with the color combination as far as suits that trump and so on and so forth. And then what you can and can't do as far as playing tiles, so on and so forth. And then we have ourselves back here a quick little finale of how the game works. And then right here, it came included with Lexio special cards, which is a they call it an expansion, but really honestly it's unnecessary. But it goes into detail about what the cards are, how they affect the game, and so on and so forth. But what these cards kind of do is they add a level of depth to it that is kind of new, I guess. So it can for people who've played this a lot, who really know the game, this can really add a new depth of strategy to it. Okay, then I guess we'll look at those last. So it's going to come with player aids as well. There's 5 of them. You can play this with up to 5 players, which is also different from Mahjong because Mahjong can only support up to 4 players. And in fact, you have to play with 4 players, whereas Lexio, I believe, is 2 to 5, and I'll just have to double check that again. Yeah, 2 to 5 players. So that's another major difference between this and Mahjong. With Mahjong, you have to play with 4 players. In New Lexio, you can play between 2 and 5 players. So it's a little bit more, a little bit easier to bring to the table. These are your scoring chips, and we'll jump into these. They did not actually come with the stickers on the front of them already. You have to put those stickers on yourself. They do provide the stickers, but again, you have to affix the stickers onto these yourself. I did that prior to the video, just so I could have them ready to show off. So these yellow chips are your 1-point chips. The green chips are your 5-point chips, and the red chips are your 10-point chips. And they're not anything special. They're actually just a really thin, cheap piece of plastic. I was actually really excited to receive these because I thought we were going to get something more akin to like the clay poker chips that you would receive in a real casino. And I'm sure that if you are enterprising enough, you can go out and pick up some of those yourself. But they give you these instead. These chips, you'll receive 64 of them at the beginning of the game. Not 64 chips, but 64 points worth. So if I remember correctly, it was 3 red, 6 blue, and 4 yellow. I think. Let me do the math there. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Yeah. So anyway, those are your scoring chips. Now we're going to take a look at the tiles that come in here, and there's quite a few of them. There are 60 in total, and that's something that makes it a little bit different from the game of 13. In 13, they use a 52-card deck, so this game has 8 extra tiles that wouldn't necessarily be present in a game of 13. But each tile has a different representing suit. So the red is suns, the green is moons, the blue is clouds, and the yellow is stars. And it actually be in this order because suns are your strongest suit, clouds are your weakest suit, with stars being second weakest and moons being second strongest. And the reason that they have the 2s separated is because the 2s are your strongest suit, your strongest number in the game, followed by 1 and then 15, which is very strange, but that is more akin to games like 13 or Tichu. We'll take a look at these. This is probably where most of the money went as far as the Kickstarter campaign. Had to have been these tiles, because these tiles are very heavy and they honestly feel substantial. And whereas when we look at something like these chips, which feel flimsy and like you could break them very easily, these actually feel like they have substance to them, and they're more along the lines of that of Bakelite. And they, as far as I know, they might be Bakelite. But anyway, there's 1 through 15 in total. So the highest number is going to be a 15 on your tiles here. And this would be your sun suit right here. And you can see, because the number is wrapped in the sun. And then next we'll have our moon, which is our second strongest suit in the game. And again, it's the same thing, where we have 1 through 15 available. And you can tell it's a moon because of the color and the fact that it's wrapped by the moon. Right, and you can just hear, these are really fantastic. As far as like tactile play is concerned, this is exactly the kind of stuff I'm looking for. We have up next our star suit. And again, it's just 1 through 15 of that suit. And I'm just, there's no point in pulling out all of these, but we'll just go ahead and show you they look like. And obviously, when you looked at the earlier ones, we were looking at the 2. The 2 is super special because the 2 is the most powerful number in the game. So while it still represents the color and obviously the star shape in the middle here, the face is a little bit different from your typical normal tiles. And the last, we have our moon, or I mean our cloud tiles. And again, the cloud is probably one of the harder ones to tell, because the squiggly lines here, they made it very stylistic. But these are your blue cloud tiles. Okay, so that is your tiles. And then the final thing that was given in the game were these special new Lexio cards, or Lexio, if you will. And essentially, each of them are going to have something on it. Like this one says lost right. Pick a player and force that player to lose a turn. So it's something, some of these are ways to kind of change up the game. The idea is to be the first one to not have any tiles left in your hand. So then we have something like this unwanted gift that says give one of your tiles to another player. So you can just outright give a tile away, which brings your hand down by 1 tile. And that is super good. Also, you can just save this up until you only have 1 tile and then use it to win. Other things we have are like winner takes all. So instead of splitting up the points to the 2nd place, 3rd place, and 4th place winners, you would just take everything. Just stuff like that. And I mean, you can look at this and see that the art's not exactly the most incredible art in the world, but to be honest with you, it could have been way worse. They did a really good job on the art here. The card quality is also really horrible. You can still see on the ends of these cards the little chads where it kind of got punched out of a larger sheet and just was never really finished. And more importantly, the cards are just really bad quality. And again, that probably has to do with the fact that they threw most of their quality into the tiles themselves. These remaining cards here, if I remember correctly, yes, are ways to make your tiles a little bit more versatile. This specifically will change your cloud tiles into one number of your choice on a scale between 3 and whatever, depending on the number of players. So if we're playing 5 players, 3 to 7, so on and so forth. Same with this one, Serene Starlight, except for star tiles, Radiant Sun for sun tiles, and Mellow Moonlight for moon tiles. So these are the cards for it. This is, like I said, new Lexio. It was, I want to say originally Lexio might have been a Korean game or possibly European. I am not actually 100% sure what the history of Lexio was. I know that the name itself is derivative of a Latin word. And I don't know if it goes further back than that. I do know that Tichu, the game that it kind of takes from, as far as the style of play for the game, is more of an ancient game from China. So that is it. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below, but make sure the comments are positive. I will be removing any negative comments. And until next time, guys, go with peace.